How does this keep happening? What am I talking about? I'm talking about another time capsule build. Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. This is Boost My Build, the series where we take your PC build list, we tear them up, we put them back together, and massively increase your performance. And we've got two amazing builds for this episode. We have a $1,500 build that wants to game and do high-end video editing, but they're stuck in the past. Can we bring this build into the future? And we've got a $2,500 Godzilla build, but it's not breathing fire anytime soon. It's more like mini Godzilla. Remember, if you get value out of the video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe. Click that bell icon, that way you get notified when we release cool content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Radeon. Hackers want your stuff, and your browser is an easy way for them to get saved passwords, credit card, and personal information. Hackers can even bypass two-factor authorization, but Radeon keeps your browser protected and detects threats before they happen. Simply install Radeon, run the free security scan, and start removing threats immediately. With their affordable premium plan, Radeon protects you and up to 5 family members from phishing, blocks harmful sites, and detects and removes harmful extensions. Don't fall victim to hackers. Protect yourself today with a free 7-day trial of Radeon by clicking the link in the video description. We've got RVVE who says, Jason, I plan on creating a build for streaming games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Apex Legends, and Overwatch. And they want to do some video editing in DaVinci Resolve at 1080p. Current monitor's 144Hz, don't know if they should upgrade that as well since the GPU is a bit overkill, okay? Here's the build so far, $1,500 in the US. Let's see what you got. How does this keep happening? What am I talking about? I'm talking about another time capsule build. This is a Back to the Future build because it's stuck in the past and we got to get it back to the future into 2023. Let's start off. You have $1,444 is where you finished out. So yes, you finished under your budget. You have $56 left, but I'm looking at this build. We do not have $1,400 worth of performance. We don't even have $1,000 really of performance here. Let's just jump in. Let's first start off with a thing I do like about the build. I kind of like. You went with the RTX 4070. If you're going to go NVIDIA RTX 4000 series, you have limited options in my estimation because they're just not really worth it. They lack VRAM, but the one out there that I think might strike the right balance is the RTX 4070. 12 gigs, not a ton of VRAM, but it's more than 8 gigs. It's not terrible. $600, yeah, we wish this GPU were cheaper, but it's not terrible. It's just kind of not terrible all around. And for whatever reason, if you've convinced yourself that you have to have NVIDIA or you have to have it for like a professional application that will only use NVIDIA, this is probably the card to look at for about $600. You went with the MSI Ventus one. Now, the performance-wise, it performs almost identically to the RX 6800 XT, the 6800 XT, which you can get for about $100 cheaper, just know that. But here's where the build just kind of goes off the rails. Why do we have a Ryzen 5000 series CPU in a $1,500 build? Listen, at one point, the 5800, this would have made perfect sense 3 years ago in 2020. But 3 years later, technology has moved forward. The 5800X, honestly, generally is not worth buying. The 5700X is usually cheaper, has the same performance level. There's really no advantage to it. Doesn't give that much more performance really than even the 5600 in gaming. And if you want extra cores, go to the 7600. The 7600 almost beats it multi-threading and crushes it in gaming. So there's just really no reason here to go AM4 whatsoever. We either want to go Intel on a 13600K or higher, or Ryzen 7000 series CPU. Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, this is a phenomenal cooler, but it's $94, and I don't see why we're spending money on liquid cooling a CPU that absolutely does not really need it. And you can certainly do it. It would look nicer in the build. I think liquid coolers make the builds look more aesthetically pleasing. I don't mind spending money on aesthetics, but we got to get a better CPU first. And then we just kind of confused. So we went with kind of a higher end liquid cooler, which I don't necessarily mind, but we're pairing it with really a kind of trash tier, budget-ish motherboard. I say trash tier, I'm being a little hard on it. I've never liked the way that this one looks, the MSI Pro B550M. This is the VC version, which is the newer version. It's got, I believe it's Wi-Fi 6E on it instead of the Wi-Fi 5 on it, which the VDH had. It's a fine board if you're just trying to build a budget gaming PC, but we have $1,500 to spend. This is not the motherboard that we want to be ending up with at the end of our build. The RAM's fine, 32 gigs, it's 2 by 16 gigabytes. If we are gonna go this right here, especially with a GPU that we picked out, I would have liked to see DDR4 3600 CL16. Instead, you went with DDR4 3600 CL18, which is essentially the same speed as 3200 CL16. We are gonna have a new best RAM for gaming 2023 video coming very soon. We'll go back through all that, but you can check out our older video. We do explain the differences there in terms of CAS latency and speed if you're just kind of struggling to understand why this is the same speed. Talking about back in time, this is an absolute relic, the Intel 660p. I honestly did not even know that they were still selling this thing. This drive has been around for freaking ever, for literally ever. I'm just wondering what's the oldest review on here? It's got to be like several years old. The 660p slower drive, it's not worth $58 for 1 terabyte. We'll get you a better drive, but this thing's going in the trash. I don't really understand why we're going hard drive space. You went 4 terabytes here. Again, we have $1,500 to spend. I would say get 2 terabytes of SSD space first before we go with this 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte hard drive thing. You can always add in a drive like this later. But I would say try out 2 terabytes of SSD space. You'll probably never want to go back to a hard drive, trust me. Another kind of just small error we made, Corsair 4000D airflow, perfectly fine case. I keep knocking it though, $89, it's back to $89. This is where this case should really be. Only comes with 2 included fans, so you really need more fans to fill it out. So it ends up always being like $120-ish case, and you can get the RGB airflow version now. Comes with 3 included RGB Corsair fans for about $30 more. So that's something I would definitely check out because we don't have enough fans. This EVGA Supernova 850 GT is a good power supply, 850 watts, but it's overpriced. Right now it's $129. I don't really know why that is. Maybe when you picked it, it was cheaper and it sold out or something like that. Again, good unit, just completely overpriced. And we don't need 850 watts. Probably get away with 750 in this build, and we can go with an A-tier rated unit for like $100 instead. So for $1,444, this is just not $1,400 worth of performance. In my estimation, we can do so much better, and you deserve a PC that kicks some serious butt. I call this the $1,500 insane 1440p gaming and editing build because you're gonna get amazing performance. At 1440p, frankly, you could go 4K here, no problem whatsoever. Obviously, you definitely have to buy a new monitor for that. I finished out at $1,504.79. A second ago, that was $1,498. Just find $4.79. You will be okay. Let's start off with the GPU that I went with. I went with the Sapphire Pulse RX 7900 XT. Now, I can give you an NVIDIA alternative if you want to go NVIDIA, if you're just convinced NVIDIA is better off for you. But for $769, now these have come up a little bit in price. They had been more like $750, all the way down to like $720. Fingers crossed that they come back down. They're just temporarily out of stock on some of those other models right there. And it comes with Starfield Premium Edition. If you care at all about Starfield, here's a game. You can start streaming this one right away. Why do I like the 7900 XT? AV1 encoding is going to be awesome for your streams. It's going to be way, way better than H.264 and any of that other stuff. And the encoder on these AMD GPUs is really, really good, by the way, especially for AV1 encoding. And it's going to give you insane levels of performance. What kind of performance? Here's TechSpot's 15 game average. I believe this is their RTX 4060 Ti review. Data, I'll leave it linked down in the video description. You can see the 4070 there, 102 FPS is what you were looking at 1440p and a 15 game average, including a lot of titles that have ray tracing now turned on by default. Look at the 7900 XT, even with titles with ray tracing turned on by default, it beats the 4070 Ti, which is gonna be my alternative GPU. The thing is, I just don't love that you had to spend about $800 to get a GPU with only 12 gigs of VRAM. I love the 7900 XT because you get 20 gigs of VRAM in addition to the performance. Now, I know one of the things people are often concerned about when buying an AMD GPU, especially like you, if you want to do video editing, how is it going to perform in these things that NVIDIA has generally had the upper hand on? So this is the eTechnics review for the RTX 4070. You can see this is basically where it comes out for DaVinci Resolve, which is the program that you're going to use. This is the overall score, higher is better. Look at that, the 7900 XT beats the 4070 Ti in DaVinci Resolve. And additionally, AMD just announced a whole bunch of improvements in terms of the Adobe Creative Suite as well. I haven't seen them tested yet, so they're still first party numbers, but that 7900 XT is going to perform very, very well. All right, for the rest of the build, we're going to bring you back to the future with a Ryzen 5 7600. I don't think you need any more than 6 cores. Remember, these are 6 modern high-end cores here. and this is the non-X version for $219, but you can get either this or the X version. This is probably gonna make you happier a little bit on the temps so you don't have to tinker with anything. And for $219, it's gonna crush that 5800X in gaming and roughly tighten all the multi-threaded performance. For the cooler, we're just gonna go something simple. I went with a Deepcool AG400 black ARGB cooler. I noticed you didn't have a lot of RGB in your build. In fact, I didn't think you have any. So if you don't want this one, go for the AK400 instead, black one. It's the same price, although this one's got a promo code on it right now. Or you can just turn the RGB off. That's another way to go. But this is an insanely performative cooler for a very low price. For the motherboard, I decided to go MSI Pro B650M-A Wi-Fi. It might just be on sale right now because normally this board's about $170. And honestly, it's not usually worth it at that price point. But 140 bucks, definitely worth it. And I know you wanted MSI, so I got you that same motherboard, just the B650 version. In my estimation, it looks more like a modern motherboard too. MSI did a good job with this board. Although it does have just kind of entry-level features, that's where we're at. That's fine, absolutely fine. If this one sells out for some reason, check out the ASRock B650 Pro RS Wi-Fi. It usually sells for about $140. And it's got one additional M.2 slot to it. I do like that board a little bit better, but if you want MSI, this is a good one to go. Our RAM, we're just gonna go ahead and get one of the cheaper kits, G.Skill Flare. This one is an Expo kit. Remember, no difference between Expo and XMP. DDR5 5600 CL30 right now for 90 bucks, but go 5600 CL32 or faster. For the drive, I just got you the silicon powered 2 terabyte NVMe, and I've talked this drive up to death. Basically, any of the budget level NVMEs out there, the Team Group MP33, some of the Western Digital drives, all those are great options here. And we got 2 terabytes for you, and you still have an M.2 slot where you can add storage in the future. For the case, I just decided to get you something cheaper that we can do all in one. I went with a Thermaltake S200. The good news is at this price point, there's actually a lot of options. I just went with this one because it's on sale right now. It comes with 3 included ARGB fans. It's got that kind of bigger airflow version to it. $88 with a $15 rebate, so you basically get it for $73. I do see though, however, you will need an additional fan. So I went out and got you an insanely cool kit, Thermalright. This is 3 120mm ARGB fans, super high rated. These things are super quiet too. For only $13 for 3 fans, like what is going on over here? Great kit of fans. Remember, everything's linked down in the video description. Check that out. And then finally for the PSU, we went with the Corsair RM750E, a unit I continue to recommend, 750 watts. This is ATX 3.0. It's A tier rated on the PSU Cultist list. And it's only $99 either here over at Newegg or even Amazon. It's just an absolutely sensational PSU. So for $1,504, we brought you Back to the Future with a CPU, and we got you one of those latest graphics cards in the Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 7900 XT. 20 gigs of VRAM, 20 gigs of VRAM, and completely crushes all the other cards that we were looking at, including in DaVinci, where you want to do some video editing. We right-sized your case, got you enough fans, kind of right-sized the rest of the build, so I hope you feel like your build is boosted. We've got Young Woo. Young says, this is my first PC build ever, and I've got no experience, but I'm ready to take it on because I watched lots of videos. All right. Thumbs up. They want to do a color theme build, mainly white with some black parts to kind of go with their overall setup. And they want to use it for high level gaming, competitive games, Apex Legends, playing games, high graphics. I'm assuming you mean 4K here, Minecraft and other things that come out. And you also potentially want to do streaming with it. Your budget is $2,000 to $2,500 and you could go as high as $3,000. Yes, you're from this. We can get you an insane PC for that budget. Let's see what you got. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. New builder, no experience, and a very, very large budget, a very large budget. This is a Godzilla build here. And if you don't handle the Godzilla build correctly, he's not going to be burning down your enemies. He's going to be burning you down. And that's kind of what happened here. You could put this build together. It would work kind of fine. It's just that you finished it $2,129. Actually, I see some things missing. So let's throw another $250 in to complete the build for the things that are missing. So you finished around $2,300, possibly $2,400. I'm just not seeing that level of performance at all here, at all. So we're massively overspending on some things that I just want to pull my hair out. I already see that we've also gotten bit by the Lian Li virus, among others. The Lian Li virus, deadly virus out there, along with the Corsair virus and the NZXT virus. So let's punch through this. Let's start with the GPU. I don't like your GPU choice at all. You went with the XFX Speedster Merc. You're saying RX 7900 XE. Like, Jason, what's wrong with this GPU? Haven't you recommended this in other Boost My builds? Don't you say this? Yeah, for $789. Actually, this one's a little overpriced. I like the 750 ones a little bit better, but that would be fine. for like a cheaper build, but you're going to spend like $2,500 up to $3,000. You either want an RTX 4090 or you want to get the 7900 XTX. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. That's kind of it. For our budget, this is out of the picture really to me. I want to see us get one of those top tier GPUs. And then we went with a 5800X3D, and I'm like just definitely not for this price point. We need to be going modern. On the one hand, the 5800X3D last year was a great choice for probably almost this price point because Ryzen 7000 just wasn't making a lot of sense. It was overpriced. DDR5 was stupidly expensive. The motherboards were stupidly expensive. And something like this, we actually did one of these builds for our Guildmaster with the Ryzen 5800X3D. He really loved it. The performance was amazing. We just absolutely loved that build. But times changed, the market's changed. DDR5 prices down, Ryzen 7000 prices way down, and the motherboards way down, mostly because they've introduced cheaper motherboards. We don't want this right now. This is a great upgrade for somebody who has AM4, but not for somebody who's building a brand new build with a $2,500 to $3,000 price point. So some of the viruses you got bit by include the NZXT Kraken leak. Now listen, $300 for this cooler. That's kind of insane. Kind of insane given the CPU that we've got. This is 100% aesthetics. I don't mind spending aesthetics at this budget level, but given our CPU and GPU combo, I'm not feeling the love for the overall performance of the build. We can definitely get a cooler with the LCD screen, NZXT if you want. We could do the 240. This CPU doesn't need it. So let's just bring some balance back to the force here. I don't mind the MSI Mag B550 Tomahawk, $169. It's fine for the CPU that you picked out, the Ryzen 5800X3D, but we don't really, I can see that we want a certain feature set. We will make sure to get that feature set, but on a different platform. The RAM you got also, I don't love. The 5800X3D doesn't care as much about RAM speed because it's got that 3D cache. But if you are gonna get it, I would definitely have gotten the 3600 CL16 RAM. Yes, I know white RGB kits are harder to find for DDR4 because it seems like it's all kind of selling out right now. And I feel like there is that inflection point that's coming sooner possibly rather than later where DDR5 is actually going to overtake DDR4 in terms of price to performance. I see that you got the 32 gigabyte kit. That's fine too. We'll get you 32 gigs of DDR5 because that's the direction we're going. I don't hate your drive, SN750. Again, at this price point though, it's okay to go more premium on the drives too. This is definitely a budget tier drive. It's a HMB process. It's a DRAM-less drive. $40 for 1 terabyte. Again, don't hate the choice. I don't love it. And also at this price point, I want to see more than 1 terabyte of storage. Here's kind of where we really fell off the rails a little bit, although I think we might be able to get back on. I do like the Lee & Lee O11 Dynamic Evo case. It's awesome. It's one of those atrium style panoramic or whatever they call cases where you got the glass in the front, glass in the side. Airflow is really meant to be side to back or top to bottom or both, which is kind of where you went here. But this case alone is $149. Doesn't come with any fans. That's my big problem with this case. It doesn't come with any fans. You've already out $149. And then here's where I think we just kind of went a little crazy. So we went with 2 of these 3 fan packs, say that 3 times fast. I believe these are the ones that just snap together. I haven't used them personally. They look like great fans, but $84 a pop. So 84 times 2. And then on top of that, we went for a third fan, which cost us another $30. So we are spending so much on the case. Now listen, we're at a budget level where that's probably okay. And you might even be able to hold on to this, but where's our performance in our build going? Where is the performance in the build? Let's take care of that first. I even don't mind that you spent this. I think this normally goes for like 60 or $80. This is the RGB 24-pin connector. Looks super cool. You can definitely grab one. You've also added a Microsoft Windows 11 Home. Fine, $109 will definitely work with that. And you went with a Fantex amp, 1000 watt, 80 plus gold certified PSU. I actually do like this one quite a lot. I don't know why it's not pulling in a price right now. Possibly just not available. I will say that for $2,129, again, about more like $2,400 once we add in pricing for the other items. I'm just not seeing the level of performance here. We can do so much better. You deserve a kick butt PC. I'm also worried about the level of complexity of this build for a first-time builder. I call this the $2,500 monster gaming all-white build, and this is gonna give you insane levels of performance. Insane levels of performance. I finished out at $2,483, and I made a conscious choice here. I could have fit an RTX 4090 in this PC, and been just fine. But we would have had to sacrifice, I think, a couple of the aesthetic elements that you really, really were excited about. You can go that route if you cut back some of the aesthetics here, go with a little cheaper cooler in particular. We'll go through that in just a moment. So instead, I went with the RX 7900 XTX 24 gigabyte. That's the Power Color Hellhound version right here. $950 after you take the promo code off. Just know there's a lot of different 7900 XTXs you can go with. One that's a little bit more money, but might fit the theme a little bit better is the Sapphire Nitro. It's more like a silvery kind of white. It's got this big RGB bar under it. A lot of people really, really like that one as well. I would go with one of these RX 7900 XTXs. Going to give you super high levels of performance. Can, of course, go with that 4090 if you want to push the budget up to 3000 and you want to cut back on a couple other things. For the rest of the build, we're going with the Ryzen 7800 X3D. Welcome to the future. This is the current top dog CPU right now. Yeah, forget the 13900K or the 13700K, any of that kind of stuff. This is an amazing performance right now. $385 with the promo code, also selling at Amazon for the same price. Super high levels of performance. This is the unbeatable one right now. Okay, for the cooler, I struggled because this is still a very expensive cooler and it's massive overkill for the CPU, but we're going aesthetics here, and I found out the difference between the NZXT Kraken Elite RGB cooler and the non-Elite. It's basically this LCD screen right here. You get the larger LCD screen. It's the 640 by 640 resolution, and it's 60 hertz as compared to the other one, which is a significantly cheaper screen, and it will save you a little bit of money. And again, could also go 240 here instead. We could do a lot of things to save a little bit of money, but I decided let's go full Monty on this cooler. Let's just give you the thing that you wanted. Speaking of things you wanted, I went with the MSI Mag B650 Tomahawk. Great features on this, upgraded audio, upgraded other features. I basically went with it because it seemed like you liked the Tomahawk. Let's give them what they want. $219. It's a pretty good price for the upgraded level of B650 motherboards. Plenty of M.2 slots on here, plenty of rear panel connectivity. It's got the Wi-Fi that you need. Everything that you're going to need is a great motherboard. For the RAM, we went with DDR5 6000 CL30. There's no reason to go any faster. In fact, in some cases, you can actually go a little bit backwards. This is where you want to be overall. So we just got you the Team Force Delta RGB kit. Looks super slick. I have the same kit. We've done this in our 7800 X3D build. I love this kit. $104 right now. It had been down about $94, but honestly, $10 on a $2,500 build, you're not going to miss it. This is a great kit to get. For the drives, I got you two of these drives. They're 970 Evo Plus, 2 terabyte drives. These are going to be super high performance. These are great drives. They're down at $80 right now. I'm going to post this to the channel. I fingers crossed it's still there by the time this Boost My Build goes live, because this is a really, really good deal. If not, look for like the Silicon Power 880, 2 terabyte. They go for a little bit less than this, but overall, between the two, if there's almost no price difference, I would go with the Samsung 970 EVO. Here's where we did a little bit different. I went away from that Lian Li case because we were just investing so much money. It felt like the money pit, basically. So instead, I can see you want that Atrium style case. I went with the Montech Sky 2. And also I went with it because it's going to be easier for you as a builder, as a first-time builder. The fans are already pre-installed. You don't have to do anything, and it's only $105. It's got 2 fans here. You could technically, I think, put a 240 there, but really it's designed for you to put it in the roof. You can fit a 360 up there. That's why I got the 360 for you. I don't think you're gonna have to move any of these fans, possibly this one down here. If that graphics card is a little bit too big, you could move this one, I'd just take it out altogether. But this is gonna give you plenty airflow, especially with that 360 on the top there. I think you're gonna absolutely love this case. It looks amazing, and it's gonna massively simplify everything because these fans are already pre-installed for you. Finally, for the PSU, I went for the Fantex amp. I found it. This is the V2 version, 1000 watt unit. It does come with the 12 volt high power cable if you do go with the RTX 4090 instead, but we're not going to need that. It comes with all white power extension cables, which is super nice. Actually, they're not extensions, they're just the cables that come with it, and they come with white ends to them too, which I think is kind of a nice touch, although I don't mind the black ends, plastic ends to them either. But I think this is going to be a really, really nice touch. You're not going to have to get cable extensions. If you do want to pick up that 24-pin Lian Li RGB connector, I'll link it down in the video description. I did take it out just because I didn't want to go over $2,500 here, but it's about $60 if you do want to add it. So again, for $2,483, you are going to get one of the most performative PCs on the freaking planet, very similar to the one that we built for our 7800 X3D and RX 7900 XTX build, which was insanely performative. Absolutely love that build. And you're gonna get kind of everything that you wanted in terms of the aesthetic with an awesome cooler that's stupidly expensive. You're gonna get that atrium style case, all white build that I think you're looking for. And we've just amped up the performance in every single way. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Remember, if you got value out of the video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Hey, speaking of cool content, do you want to watch more Boost My Build? Check it out right here. Here's the whole playlist. We've done 3 this month. They're all awesome. And we'll catch you on the next one.